Welcome to Beyond the Feed, the podcast where we explore narratives and themes beyond your feed. My name is Champ Abela and I'll be your host. So you might be thinking, what's Beyond the Feed? And what will this podcast be talking about? Well, in this season of Beyond the Feed, we'll explore the influence of social media and across various aspects of life. Through interviews with different people and professionals, we'll uncover how social media has reshaped the world as we know it. We'll be diving into its effects on different topics from psychology, culture, faith, and even your day-to-day life. So now that you have an idea of what we'll be exploring, let me share the story behind this podcast. I'm someone who's always been curious about the intersection of technology and humanity. I've seen how social media can both connect and divide us. This podcast is my way of exploring these dynamics and sharing what I learned along the way. Beyond the Feed was created as a school project for my final term in senior high school. It builds upon my research from last year, which examined social media's influence on the peer relationships of homeschoolers. I had been considering starting a podcast since 2022, but I never really got around to it. So, when this project opportunity came up, it felt like the perfect time to finally make it happen. So I titled this podcast Beyond the Feed because I want to explore things that you typically don't see or talk about in social media. Stuff that you will only really hear in day-to-day conversations. So that's the essence of this podcast. Anyway, that wraps up this introduction episode of Beyond the Feed. Thank you for joining me as we set the stage for the season's conversations on social media's influence. I'm excited to dive deeper into the stories, insights, and perspectives that go beyond the screen. So if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the podcast here on Spotify and on YouTube so you don't miss what's coming out next. You can also follow us on Instagram at Podcast Beyond the Feed. Again, that's at Podcast Beyond the Feed for updates, reels, snippets of what's coming next, and whatnot. Together, let's uncover what lies beyond the feed.